Heyo, Stoic here. Hey, welcome to the Bedrock Guide. In this tutorial, we're going to be making a storage farm for our giant gold farms. All right, we have got this thing on. We've got our sorting system on. Yeah, I used some redstone on this one. We've got 2 dispensers on a comparator clock, shooting out items into some cobwebs. These items will get combined together into close to a stack of items. Except for those pesky swords. But anyways, they get shot down and they get pushed to the side with the water streams, and our good old grindstones are a little bit smaller than a normal block, so they can hover over top of the water and ice and be over top of the hoppers. So our sorting system is going to catch them and then shoot them down where they need to go. We also have an additional sorting system over here because guess what? Yeah, Bedrock has a couple bugs in it, and sometimes these stacks stick together. They'll stick to a sword, and they won't get caught in these hoppers. So what we do is we just throw them into a hopper system. So from here, they just start moving one at a time, which is way slower, but this is how we're going to make it work. You'll also see, it's getting a little dark here, that we're just going to smelt all the swords that come in here. You could throw this stuff into a lava pool if you really don't want them, but honestly you shouldn't get rid of them because these nuggets start to add up after a long time. So yeah, this is our storage system, so let's get into some mechanics. All right, this storage auto sorting system is brought to you by Silentwisperer. I have scoured the internet and this is probably my favorite one, and I tried making my own and it always got a little bit bigger than it needed to be. So this one is tileable, and I've just been using it for years, so I just really enjoy using it. And it's based off of a comparator, and it's just going to stop the items. You're going to put your specific item in here, 41, and then you put in some, you could use a name tag on them or just something really unique, maybe furnaces or something you have to craft, something that's just not going to make its way into these hoppers. And the comparator will shoot out normally just a 2 redstone signal, but it will make a third one if we get above 45 blocks in this hopper. And once it hits 46, and it happens to be the right one because orange concrete is the only thing that can go in here, it will complete a circuit which will de-energize this redstone torch, which de-energizes this block, which unlocks this hopper, which allows this 40-second item to fall into this hopper right here, which will make its way into the storage system. All right, yeah, just to show you a little bit more about what's happening here, we're using the comparator to read what's inside this hopper. The quantity of items inside this hopper and the type of items inside this hopper will create a redstone signal out the front of the comparator. Yeah, this is the front of the comparator. This is the back of it. So this orientation matters. Now, in this case, we have 45 items in here, which will only give us a signal strength of 2. So when we're looking at this, the comparator actually makes this a signal strength of 2, and this is a signal strength of 2 because 1, 2. This is just a repeater to show you that it is on. We could get this stuff, get rid of it. Just lighting up the redstone repeater tells you that you have made it all the way to that spot because it resets at that spot. So we're getting a signal strength of 2 right there. And if we were to put in one more to get us to 46, you can see that now we have a signal strength of 3 just past that solid block. And this is important because when we're doing this and tiling these sorting systems right next to each other, you can see that there's no real pathway to energize another piston other than the one that it is next to. So if you were to have a signal strength of 3, 1, 2, 3, you could energize that piston. If you were up here, 1, 2, 3, you could never get down there. There's no other path other than straight to the piston, and that piston is what changes the state of that redstone torch. So that's one of the main mechanics of this sorting system, and I hope that visual helps you along. All right, it wouldn't be a Stoic tutorial without, maybe another mechanic in here. So what we're looking at in this one is using grindstones, ice, and water to help sort a whole bunch of items in the overworld. So you can see that we're pushing water in that direction, and it's lining up. It doesn't go past this block, but items do. 2D items will go past that because you can see our hitbox for grindstone is much smaller than the block below it. So there's an opportunity for items to go that much further. And hoppers just happen to look. You don't have to be over this empty spot. You can be on top of the edge of the hopper and collect items. So I'm going to put this in daytime and we'll show you a quick clip. So for example, you saw the intro. If we just start throwing stuff in there, the water flows up against this grindstone and it gets captured right there. So if we are able to lock that first one with very specific items, then the other ones will flow right past. So you can see some of them are actually making their way to the second one because I just overwhelmed it. But anyways, yeah, that's one of the main mechanics here. And I think you could probably use honey. Honey's a little harder to get. Grindstones are pretty easy. Wood and half slab. Yeah, no problem. And we need, not too many, but a lot of honey is a lot of honey. But anyways, yeah, we're just going to use some water streams to push these to one side. All right, so one other thing here. I hate to say this, but gosh, bedrock bugs, right? So we're going to use Foxynotail's armor stand here and put in some chunk borders. You can see that I've got a chunk border right here on the edge of where I'm trying to push things. And if your farm is moving, if your storage system is moving in the east-west direction, guess what? No problem. No problem at all. Goes right where you want it to go, and everything works the way it's supposed to. Works every time, except this next one. Here's a chunk border. Here's another example. We're now looking south-north, just like the farm I was looking at earlier. And you throw it in there, and yeah, I'm being completely ignored. These things, even though they're floating right up against this grindstone, they flow right past these hoppers, right down to the ground. So if this collection system, sorting system, is right on a chunk border, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. So speaking of bummers, yeah, come take a look at this. Yeah, we've got this beautiful, you probably recognize this thing. Yep, beautiful farm. Just found a great spot to build it. And yeah, let's turn this thing on. Where's the chunk line? Right there. You know what? I'm happy it happened. I really am. Not really. I'm not really happy. But it's good to learn something new about the game. And yeah, if there's a chunk border right here next to a grindstone, you are out of luck. Fortunately for this, it's not that big of a deal because once you learn where that chunk border is, you can easily switch this farm so that the collection stuff, all the redstone, is on the other side, and we will be away from that chunk border line right there. Or you can even, instead of coming out into the north-south direction, you could put this farm into the east-west direction. So it's a lot of flexibility. You can go that way or that way. Just make sure your grindstones are not right on the chunk border, just like that, and you'll be in good shape. Okay, one more thing. Just one more thing. So one thing that we're really looking at here is 2D items. So if you just start throwing them, they combine. So if you just have one item, it's just going to show you one. If you get more than one, it'll end up with two, and it starts collecting. I've only thrown, I don't know, maybe 10 on there, and now it shows a 3. You keep throwing them on there, and you can see that they're collecting into a single group. Now we're up to 4. I think it'll go up to 6. I know 5 for sure. Yeah, you just need a whole lot of them. Look at that. Uh-oh. Gonna make a liar out of me. Is that 5? Nope. Oh. Let's try that again. All right, so it only shows 4. Yep, that's exactly what I said, right? So anyways, that's what we're doing. We're going to combine things out in the open and then send them down the line. All right, so let's get started on this build. Of course, after that big diatribe of information, we're going to check out our chunk borders for this pre-built farm, and you can see that this was from a different video. I'll put that link up there in the right-hand corner, and you can see that where we're going to have our dispensers, we are not going to be on a chunk border. So that is good news for us. All right, now that we know where the chunk borders are, we can get started, and you can actually pick which direction you want this to go. You can have it go off to the east. You can have it go off to the west, north, or south. In this case, since we're already kind of set up for the south, we're just going to go ahead and do it that way. All you have to really do is redo how your hoppers output. And in fact, if you were to just, if you said, I want to redo the system I've got today, you can just tear it out and just put this part in right here, and then I'll show you the rest. So let's get into it. So let's go ahead and make sure we got 2 solid blocks underneath these chests. Get rid of these 2 chests, drop in a dispenser here and right here. And you can see that we've got 2 hoppers that are going down into our 2 dispensers, and then the other 2 are going into the back of the dispensers. And that's how we get the double speed on these dispensers, and how we're getting rid of all of the loot as it comes into our kill chamber. So, yep, that's looking good. Go ahead and grab some solid blocks now, and we'll just have it 1 block down. We're going to power up the block underneath our dispensers, and to do that, we're going to need our redstone repeaters. Come off the side here, just like that. And then we're going to stair up just like this. And then we'll put in a 4x4 platform, and then we'll put in a little extra right here. Grab your comparator. Where is it? There it is. And we'll put it just like this, so the 2 prongs are facing this taller block. Drop your lever on top of it. Put in your redstone dust right there. Change this by shift clicking. Nope, don't shift click. Just right click this comparator. Put it in subtraction mode, and we can test this real quick. That's working. So then we can bring our redstone down to the back. You can see that it's going into our redstone repeaters. And now if we hit the switch, you can hear the clicking. All right, make sure that dispenser's off. We don't need to hear it clicking. But now we're going to grab some ice, and we're going to be down 2 blocks, just same even with this solid blocks we put in earlier. This way we got enough room for cobwebs, which will go right in front of our dispensers right here. And then we put some ice down, and we're going to put 1, 2, 3 just off to one side. Now, the side that overhangs, this is where the rest of our sorting system is going to go. So all of the redstone we talked about earlier, and our chests will be on this east side. So we'll be approaching this from the east to get to our goodies. So we look at this, we go 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks just like that. So we've got 3x12 or 3x4 ice blocks here, and these are packed ice, making 12 spots. So the next thing we can do is go ahead and grab your grindstone. These have to be grindstones in order for the rest of the collection system to work. If you've got solid blocks here, they won't move into these last 2 pixels. You can see 1, 2. Kind of see it a little bit better right here. Here's a pixel, and then here's the next one. And you can see that our grindstone is just a little tucked in there. So if you've got a solid block, our items won't go that far, and that means they won't be over top of our hoppers. So we got 1, 2, 3 there. Grab some glass, and we can come off. Make sure we're enclosing our water, and grab another piece of ice right there just so you can stand here. Put a button, and then the last thing we can do is grab our water and put it here in the side, And you can now see that we've got a good water stream. To test this too, we can put in a hopper right here just temporarily. And then we'll just go ahead and throw in some items. Eventually they'll make their way over, and you can see that they are going to fall into our hopper off to the side. All right, now that we've got this thing set up, it's time to put in a lot of chests and a lot of hoppers. So right over here, let's see, I'm at coordinates 374, 818, 374, 818. I know that I am going to be below that ice block, and we're going to offset it in the east direction because all of our redstone will be on this side. So we're going to go ahead and put in a total of 10 chests, double chests on the ground here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just like that. And then we're going to go up until we get to the bottom of just one block below this ice block right here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. And make sure you've got a space here because you won't be able to open your chest if it's any higher. And yeah, that'll be kind of a pain. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and populate all of these chests. So we'll have 10 by 5 double chests all right there. Okay, looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and grab some hoppers now. So what we're going to end up doing, and I'll just do one of these right now just so you can visualize what's happening, is we'll just put in all of these hoppers right here. And then this one has to point down. Has to just point straight down. This one must point into the ice. It can actually point the other way as well, but since we're already going to have ice here, we can go ahead and point it into the ice. So yeah, let's go ahead and fill in all of our hoppers, and I'll see you then. Okay, got that first layer done. Go ahead and make sure that these are all pointing straight down. And then now that it's easier, we can go ahead and put ice all the way across here, and we'll just stop at the last one. Grab your hoppers and make sure that they're pointing into, so shift click into the side of these. You don't have to shift click, I guess. Just point them into this ice. Yep. And yep, that's looking pretty good. The next thing we can then do is grab our grindstones. This time you have to shift click. And make sure they're always facing the same direction. One, because who doesn't love symmetry, and it just looks good. But, that's probably the only reason why. Last thing we want to do up here on top is just come across just like that. And we should be ready to put some water in. So grab your water bucket and we'll put it in right here. And guess what? Perfect, right? There's going to be enough kinetic energy here. They're going to be moving fast enough that they'll slide across, and they're actually going to fall into a hopper that's going to be in this position right here. So they'll be right on this edge, and this hopper will pick everything up that goes through. And the reason why we're doing this is this will pick up probably almost everything, except, and there's a bedrock bug. Yeah. Sometimes the 2D items, the stackable ones, will just get like stuck with the swords. So they're like combined. And the hoppers don't recognize the difference between the sword and the other item. So they just let it pass by. So once we get down to this part, we have collected a lot of stuff. I'd probably say 80% of what's coming down the line. But anything that does make its way down will then go through a hopper system, and it will be sorted one by one then, so we can separate our groupings. So that's why we got to have this thing, because there is a little bit of a bug. Otherwise, I would just have this thing collect everything with water streams because it's just so much faster. But let's move on to the backside of our auto sorting system. All right, so as I said earlier, we are going to be sorting right here at the top. That way, if rotten flesh comes by and it's rotten flesh in here, it will suck it in. And we'll do a couple of them that way. If we have a big grouping of them, maybe 64 of them comes down, then we'll capture 23 of them, then another 23, then another 23 in it. And that will be enough to, reduce the size of that big stack that had been created. But so what we're going to end up doing is grab some solid blocks. We'll go down to the one that's pointing straight down, And we'll just put a row in just like this. We'll come back across just like this. So now we've got 2. And then we'll put another one right here along the back. Grab your comparators and stand on top of your grindstones and put them in just like this so that the 2 prongs are facing the hoppers all the way across. The next thing we want to do is grab our pistons, and we'll make sure that they're pointing in the south direction this time, just so they're all pointing the same direction. Don't let one, point down, or it's going to start moving stuff that you don't want. Once we get to the end, though, of this grouping, we'll go ahead and put in some obsidian right on the end. That way, none of the pistons can move anything. The next thing we can do then is grab some solid blocks and just, down one, go from the side here. You can see I'm just down the side, and we'll just put another row in just like this, probably cobblestone, whatever you want to use. Put in some redstone dust on top of that. And then we're going to put in glass along this side, and then glass just like this. So here's our profile. But we need to finish this off with a couple more things. So go ahead and grab your redstone, put it on top of the glass. You can see we've got 3 redstone, 1, 2, 3. And then we can't forget this redstone torch. This is what locks out our hoppers. So go ahead and put them on the side of our pistons. And now our sorting system is ready to be specialized in a specific item. So what we're going to do, though, is wait and do all of that all at once. And we're going to do the next part of the sorting system. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a hopper right here. And to get this thing in the right position, we're going to have to go out some blocks. So grab some temporary blocks. We can just grab, cobblestone, dirt, whatever we want to use. And so we're going to skip this spot in our sorting system. And then we're going to go out another 11. So 12 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then what we can do from here is just break all of those temporary blocks because, well, maybe I should have kept it because I got to put the hoppers in. But we're going to make sure that the hoppers are all pointing in one direction. Now, I haven't experimented too much with, making a turn here, but you could maybe, if you don't like the big, long storage system and you want to make a U or something like that so that's all kind of grouped in one spot, you probably can start doing that. It might be a little bit more on the iron side for hoppers, but if you've come this far and you want to make a gold farm, you know that you're going to need a lot of storage anyways, so got to be prepared for all of this. I'll have a big description. Like I said, I'll have a description of the materials in this list in the description. That way you can get prepared ahead of time. So as you can see, we've got our long stretch here. This is just a temporary one. So what we're going to do is keep things even. So one space here, just like this. And this is to catch anything that got stuck to the 2D swords. So we're going to go out another 9. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's going to be 3 for each of our items. So our stackable items like gold ingots, gold nuggets, and rotten flesh. These are what we're trying to sort one more time. It doesn't happen quite as often with the single portal, but it's still gonna, if anything does get through, and this is what we're trying to prevent, if anything does get through, it's gonna mess up your blast furnaces. That will back up with a whole bunch of swords, and then that will back up and block the rest of your sorting system. So don't want that. So we're going to put in these measures to make sure everything's smooth, 100% sorting. And hopefully when Mojang, I put a bug request in, trying to get it resolved. I'm going to try to get that all figured out, but there's a lot of bugs out there. I just don't think they're going to think about this one. So let's go ahead and finish up the chest. So in this case, we were 5 tall and then 9 wide. And then we're going to come to the back side, and you guessed it, we're going to do the same thing, just come in and put hoppers along the back. All right, for this next part, we are going to, the first part, we were comparing what was in the top one as it was going by. This next one, we want to make sure we've got nice, good flow all the way across. So we're going to compare on the next one down. So what we can do is put some temporary blocks in just like this in that orientation. And now we can put in some block, or our hoppers need to be pointing into these blocks right here. And this is shift clicking. Tell me in the comments, is there a better way to do this in creative? Do I have to put a platform in? Anyways, we can get rid of these temporary blocks. Otherwise, we won't be able to open our chest. But then we can come to the back side and you can see we just have a big wall of hoppers again. So just like this other area over here, I'll go ahead and put in, we'll put in the blocks for this one. So we're going to be comparing this one, which means we got to be, we're going to put a block right down here in our comparator will go on top of that. You can put in our L shape just like the one before, and then we can grab our comparator just like that. And then we can grab some pistons. In this case, we'll just come back in this direction because we'll put another obsidian right below it. And now the pistons will be pushing this way on the first group and then pushing this way on the other one. That way we can just make it nice and tidy. And then from below that, we'll have another solid block, put in some redstone before we get too far along. And then we can put in glass just like this. And we should be looking like that. So what I'll let you do is fill in the rest all the way across, and we'll get ready for the next step. All right, looking good. Don't forget those redstone torches in the back. And yeah, sorting system is looking pretty good right now. Before we separate them into the different items, we'll put in our smelting system on the end, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and put in our smelting system for this next part. We're going to go ahead and put in 8 because that will handle the double portal loot or output, all that glorious loot that we'll get in the future. But if you just plan on having one of these portals, then 5 will work just fine. And if you don't want the swords, which I don't recommend because the swords really add up, you can throw it into, a lava garbage disposal thing. Just, yeah. But anyways, let's go ahead and come out. So we've already skipped one. So we'll have a blast furnace here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll put one more so we can actually click on it. Let's try this time. I'm actually going to break these as I go. Hey, that's way better. All right, good. So now that we know where we're going to end up, we can go ahead and grab some chests. And in this case, we're going to put it like this. If you really don't want to offset it so it's underneath and you want a nice even row of chests, you can do this too. In fact, I'll do this now. It's just an extra hopper that you have to put in. So we're going to come in just like this, grab a blast furnace, and then we'll grab another hopper on the back side. This is where our lava is going to be going. And then we're going to go ahead and start collecting all of the swords as they come in. In this case, we're going to put in chest right here. You can make it a double, which I think is a good idea just for overflow. And you can start collecting them if you want. For some reason, you just want to have them. And this one will grab anything that makes its way down and into the system. So this is just a profile of the entire thing. I'm actually just going to build this just like this, so we have one less hopper to put in. So we'll go ahead and do 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should get us just like that. Oop, 8. I said 8, right? There we go. 7 more. Hold it together, Stoic. All right, come all the way across here. We just need one more chest just like that. And then we're going to come across, put it in, grab your blast furnaces. Now, lava can burn things for up to 1,000 seconds. So that's pretty sweet, especially when we're going to be going AFK for a long time. So that's why we got the storage system in the back side here. So we can go ahead and put in hoppers on the back side of this, and then we can just combine some of our chests. If you want more storage, you can turn these things to the side so that they overhang out the back, and then you have even more spots for lava. It's pretty iron intense build here, but this is what you got to do for a storage system. And then we can come back across just along the top here. That way we're pushing down into our build. Temporary chests here as everything gets filtered down into blast furnace. And finally, we'll have our last hoppers right there. So once everything is sorted the first time, it gets sorted again. And then we're going to send all of these swords, which is the only thing left, into our blast furnace array. All right, time to fill up these chests over here. Just start filling them up. It's going to be a lot. These will separate into 2 different blast furnaces, as you can see. And yeah, just tons of lava. If you want, you could probably, if you've got another farm, you can attach it to the back side of this, so it's always putting fuel into your system. I think that's a really cool idea. But for now, we're just going to use lava because it lasts a long time. And yeah, just jump in another and you can get a lot. All right, for this next part, you're going to want to run this a little bit. That way you can get enough resources to start filtering these out. You're going to need 41 of each type. And you're also going to need a unique item to put in here, something that you know will not end up in your sorting system. And one of the best ways you can do that is to just get an item and then rename it. Yep, pretty proud of myself there. Anyways, we can go ahead and toss in 1, 2, 3, 4. If things start going down into the sorting system, you know you've got something wrong at this point. It's probably this redstone torch that you forgot, because everything else is pretty straightforward. And I say that because I always forget it too. Anyways, put those first 4 in there, and then you can put in whatever you want. And this should count down because it's got a signal strength of 3 until it hits 41, which will have 45 items in here. And it should stop just like that. And anytime rotten flesh then comes across, it will get picked up right there. So we're going to do this a couple more times all the way across. Just drop in the 64 because I just happen to have it. And it gets kind of methodical here. We're going to do 4 of each just because we can't have big... Whoop, that doesn't work. Let's try that again. Go ahead and put your unique one in first and then go across. We'll have to pick up the other ones. And then since we put in 4, we got 3 remaining in this inventory because we'll put those in over on the other side. Put those in and put in another set of 4 because we do get the most rotten flesh and gold nuggets from this farm, and we don't get as many ingots naturally from this farm. So once we put this in, there we go. That's the 4th one. And we should have the last 2 here. We can just put in regular ingots because we really just don't ever build up enough of these ingots that the storage system messes up. But we do have to put 3 in over here because it does become a problem. So go ahead and put in. Now, remember, you're going to grab the one that's being compared, and you can just quickly test. Yep, it's locked, so that means that's the one we're working with. You can put these in any order you want, really. I do recommend putting in... I'll do that right again. I do recommend putting in like the rotten flesh and the gold nuggets first, just so that you can get rid of the most items. Items that are out and about do cause lag. And so I'll just go ahead and finish this up really quick because it's getting dark and the monsters are going to be coming out. So let's go ahead and put this in and we'll be able to run this thing, start collecting our loot. Pretty excited. Here it goes. All the comparators are on. That means they're watching something. And, couldn't have timed that better. Look at that sunset. All right, we've got our looting 3 sword here. I want the most loot I can get, so we're going to go ahead and turn this on. Turn this on as well. And, of course, you're always going to want to hang out right here because XP lag is a thing, and you want to collect it because there's just going to be so much. Yeah, just hang out right here on these kind of farms. And you can see that we're already pumping out some items. They're starting to combine, except for the swords. And there goes the sword. It made its way into that system. Let's see if we can get rotten flesh disappeared and the nuggets disappeared. This thing is working. Here comes the ingots. Get to the end. Yep. And so since we did have some swords, this one should be lighting up. And since there is space for things to fall down into, we should have the swords collecting in here, getting smelted, and dropping down here at the bottom. So, yeah. Because we have a single portal, we're not going to get quite as many swords down this way. But yeah, this thing's working, and it will handle single portal, no problem. And the double, it will as well. In the future, I'm going to try going a little bit bigger, but I know lag is always a big thing with these kind of farms, so I got to keep that in mind for all of you. So yeah, this thing is working. Pretty simple to make. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It's a auto sorting system. Thanks, Silentwisperer, for this one. I really enjoyed it. I've been using it for years, and I'll put a link in the description for that if you want to see how he does it as well. And yeah, this thing, like I said, it's going to handle over 34,000 items per hour. So if you've got other farms you want to use this on, then yeah, I recommend it. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. Hit that like button, give me some comments, and hey, hit that subscribe button too if you want to see new content when it comes out. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.